Hi, welcome back to the Spirit's Path. This is Dee, and today's tarot card of the day out of the Wildwood Tarot deck is the Eight of Bows and Hearthfire. And when this card came up today, which we hadn't seen in a long time, the first thought that came to mind is spending time with like-minded people. And, we talked a little bit about that yesterday with the Knight of Arrows and the Hawk, looking at things from a different perspective, seeing things at a greater height, right? And, making that quick and decisive action of, if you're in a relationship with, that doesn't, believe the way you believe in your, how that relationship should go, or just, just beliefs in general, why are you still with them, right? Because there is a group out there for you on your spiritual path that believes the same way you do. All right. And, when we can get through that connection piece, right, and letting go from that Seven of Vessels morning, when we can get through that aspect and move further on our path, those people that are like-minded just like you are going to find that tribe. Whether that's in a workplace, whether that's in relationships, social setting, however you want to look at it. And before you even, can realize it, you understand that there are people out there that think like you do, that believe like you do, and they're on their spiritual path. So, here you are walking this path. You got the hawk above you. The shaman just fell off, but his nature is still with you, right? The nature of manifestation and everything like that. You still got both the kings down here, the King of Bows and the King of Vessels, walking along your path. So you've got a lot of leadership. You've got a lot of nurturing, manifesting, aspects there. And this Knight of Arrows is you're following him. And as you follow him, you start hearing this noise. You start hearing almost like, people cheering for you off in a distance. Now, this is similar to the Four of Bows in Celebration, where, that card is let's celebrating the harvest of what's going on. This is more about fellowship. Okay, the Eight of Bows and Hearthfire to me is all about fellowship. So as you're walking down this path, and you're wondering about what do I need to let go as I'm walking forward, and the hawk's showing you the way. You're listening to your intuition with that King of Vessels. You're listening to that leadership charge with that King of Bows, that adder. All right, and you hear this cacophony of voices, male and female, children. And, some are singing, some are dancing, some are just, they're raising their cups up and cheering. And as you get closer, it gets louder and louder and louder. And then somebody steps out from that crowd and they welcome you. Come on in, join us. Join us in this celebration, this event. And you're like, well, what is this event? Oh, we have an opportunity to celebrate the fall harvest. Right? And, we've lit the bonfire where we put all our scarecrows up, and, the harvest is done. And we're celebrating the fact that we've got enough for the winter. We've got enough, for whatever. And we're celebrating the fact that we have life together. And you stand by the fire, and you start to realize, this feels good. The fire is warming. The people, somebody offers you a tankard of apple cider, here's a donut, and you're like, wow, these people are really welcoming, right? And you sit down, you start to talk with them, by the warmth of this fire. And then you realize the passion that they have for life, the passion that they have for harvesting, the passion that they have of, living within this wildwood forest, living within this journey that you are on. And you hear of the love and the friendships, right? You hear of the stories of, this is how the river formed, right? You hear the stories of, how we grew up, right? And how, people have changed their belief systems, and how people came to be in this part of the Wildwood Forest, celebrating life. And somebody sits down and asks you, what's your journey? Well, I've been on this journey for a little bit. This whole year, I've met the World Tree a couple times. Oh, you've been to the World Tree? Yeah, a couple times. Yeah, so have we. I've been there 2 or 3 times in the last year. And somebody might say, hey, I've only been there once. And, you tell your experience going through the World Tree. And they have a similar experience. Well, have you met the Wanderer? Oh, yes. I've met the Wanderer 2 or 3 times this year. And we've crossed over into other parts of the Wildwood Forest. Yeah, so have we. So-and-so, has done it, 3 or 4 times. And you start listening to their journeys. You start listening to their spiritual paths, right? The challenges and the obstacles that they have along the way. And you share your stories with them of love, of friendship, of meeting the green man. And, you even show them, look, I've got the King of Bows and the King of Vessels here with me on this journey. And they're like, wow, you've got the kings with you. Showing you that leadership, showing you that psychic intuition, where you need to be tolerant. And so-and-so says, well, I've got the King of Wolves over here. And, and you start sharing, well, how'd that help you on your journey? Well, he's showing me, about my finances. He's showing me about stability. And you start comparing all that, right? And as you're sharing these stories, you're bonding, you're fellowshipping. You are realizing that, hey, there are other people on their spiritual path. Everybody's path is going to be different. Not everybody's path is going to be the same. It's not going to be linear. There's going to be some ups and downs. And you see some of that within this fellowship. You see some people that are, they're celebrating, but they're sitting off by the fire, all right? There's one guy right here. Okay, he's got his hood up. He's just standing by this, fire listening. This guy over here, it looks like he's looking up into the heavens, right? Everybody else has got their cups raised, their bows raised, hey, you're my brother, we walked this journey together. And when you realize that, even in spirit, when you're alone and you're on your journey, you can feel those that have moved on, that are guiding you, your ancestors. You may be sitting in a chair at home watching this. Your ancestors are all around you. Those that have passed on, your grandmas and your grandmas, your great-grandpas, great-grandmas, maybe your parents, maybe your kids. They're watching over you. And you can feel their presence. You can feel it within your soul that you're divinely guided by spirit, by the universe. And you think about that and you say, my spiritual path is always evolving. It's always moving forward. And you rekindle that belief in yourself. You rekindle that passion that you have on continuing to be that light, that beacon, or this fire for others. So that you can achieve your dreams and wishes and desires. So that you can continue, hitting those goals and helping other people do that. Because those that have led before you are showing you how to lead those that are behind you. And when you can help those in your community, when you can help those in your relationship, when you can help those in your social groups, your work groups, when you can share that camaraderie, that fellowship, okay, and share in the breaking of bread, even if it's, hey, I'm going to go out to McDonald's and you get McDonald's for everybody. When you can share that with others, that creates a bond. That creates that fellowship. That creates that Hearthfire. So you can develop and grow those to either learn more on your spiritual path or teach others on their spiritual path based on the knowledge and wisdom that you've gained. So take that opportunity to celebrate those wins, either with your ancestors or when you go to work the next day with others. I appreciate you helping me out with this, right? Whatever it is, the project or whatever. And just giving them that gratitude, that thankfulness. And it's a great way to say thank you and express that love that you would get in that Hearthfire moment with your significant other, with those that you work with those that you have a social connection with. It's about the fellowship. It's about growing that bond that you have of like-mindedness. Not everybody's going to think the same as you do, but if you spread that word a little bit more, all right, if you just show them the passion and love that you have in your heart, that's going to open up the doors for more connections, more bonding, more grouping. And then you can go to the local tavern or local pub and raise a tankard and say, hip hip hooray, here's to you. Mother Nature, Halloween, Christmas, whatever you want to say. So that's today's card of the day out of the Wildwood Tarot deck, the Eight of Bows and Hearthfire. Hit that like button for me, subscribe to the channel, share with others, and give me a thumbs up. And this is D for a Spirit's Path. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care. God bless. Stay safe, everybody.